On episode 271 of the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we meet Kelly Noonan and Adam Shomer and discuss their documentary, Heal. You can find the full show notes for this episode at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/271. Have you decided you're ready to make a change? To reclaim your health and fitness? The 40 Plus Fitness podcast is here for you. I'm your host, Alan Meisner. I'm an NSAM certified personal trainer with a specialization in corrective exercise and fitness nutrition. Let me be your coach as you find your way on your health and fitness journey. All right, let's go. Hello, and thank you again for being a part of the 40 Plus Fitness podcast. It's been an interesting week for me. I want to talk a little bit about my recovery from the rotator cuff surgery, go a little bit into our sponsor for the podcast, and then we'll get into the interview that I think you're really going to enjoy today on the documentary Heal. The shoulder is actually doing a lot better now. I was a little discouraged over the first 2 weeks going through my physical therapy because it seemed like each time I left, the next day I would lock up, and so I'd go back in and find that I really had not progressed on the front end. It would really take me a little while to get things moving. I would get to a better place each day, so I felt like I was successful during the therapy. It just seemed like, the things I was doing at home and trying to each day, I just really felt like I almost regressed back to the beginning from the start, and that was a little discouraging, but I persevered, and this week actually have gone through physical therapy 3 days, and now I'll do the rest of the week on my own. I'm going to see how that works, but surprisingly, I do have much better range of motion in my shoulder now, and I'm not I don't tighten up quite as much as I did before. And I'm usually able to get myself out of that tightness relatively quickly with just a little bit of effort, a little bit of work. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think I'm going to come out of the surgery once I get ready to start really doing the active recovery, which is still a couple weeks away. Then I think I'm going to be in a pretty good place, at least from a range of motion perspective, to be able to do that work and get myself recovered relatively quickly. Still missing the gym. I haven't been able to lift any weights for a couple weeks now, and 3 weeks now, and it's starting to drive me a little nuts. I really do want to go through some weights arounds, but I do know that's obviously not the right thing to do. I have to listen to my PT. I have to listen to my doctor, and I am. And as hard as it is for me, I know it will be hard for you. So I do empathize with anyone that's going through a recovery. If you work around it, that's great. I'm in a situation with my shoulder. It'd be very difficult for me to lift many weights at all without involving my shoulder in some way. Even many of the machines require me to use my right arm to release the weight. So I don't want to use that. I don't want to do that until I'm in an active recovery phase, and the physical therapist says, it's okay for you to reach out and move that lever. And when he tells me that, the next day I'm going to be in the gym for sure. So today's sponsor is Thrive Market, and I've talked about Thrive Market over the past couple episodes, and really want to tell you how much I like this company. I've ordered some more things from them. They give us the opportunity to get healthy food at up to 50% off. And they say that in their slogan, but I'll tell you what, they ran a special the other day for some of their Thrive products. So they have their own line of products, this coffee and capers, things like that. And I used it as an opportunity to stock up because prices were just too good. I mean, they're going to give me an additional 30% off of their already discounted prices. I was like, I can't not order this stuff. It's there. And when they tell you you're within your first 2 orders, you're going to make back your membership, they're not kidding. That's absolutely true. If you order anything from them at all, hardly, it's not going to take long for you to save enough money on those orders to get back. It's so convenient. They ship it right to your house in a cool little box, and it's there. It's packed very, very well. My wife was pretty excited when my order came in, and I sat down to have dinner, and then she's like, let's open the box. Let's open it up. She didn't know I had the capers, so she was pretty excited that I had ordered some capers. But if you join using the link, thrivemarket/40, they're going to give you 25% off your first order. And that's in addition to the savings you're already going to have. They're going to give you free shipping, and they're going to let you try the membership for 30 days for free. So, I mean, it's a can't lose deal. You're going to save money on the food that you're probably already buying. You're going to be able to get healthy food at a discounted price. And then again, a final thing that I just think is the nail in the coffin here for me is for every membership they sell, they're going to give a membership to a low-income family. So their goal, their mission is to make good food affordable for everybody. And by cutting out the middleman, they've done just that. So it's thrivemarket.com/40, thrivemarket.com/40. And that'll take you to the page. You can join for free, try it out for 30 days, 25 additional % off of your first order, free shipping. It's a can't miss. So please do check it out. And it helps support the podcast. It shows them that you're listening to me and that you care about getting good food. So please do go check them out. Just if nothing else, because you're going to save some money, but it also does help people and it helps the show. So do go there, thrivemarket.com/40. So today's guests are really cool. They're actors and producers, and they put together a little documentary called Heal. And they won the Maui Film Festival, and there's no doubt about it. As I was watching this, they've got some great guests on there. They've got some interesting concepts. You know, the overall concept of the documentary is how important the mind is in healing your body. And so they explore this from a lot of different angles, some of which I was right on board with. Others, they started to lose me a little bit, and I do challenge them. I do ask them about that. So I really think you're going to enjoy today's interview with Kelly Noonan and Adam Shomer. So Kelly, Adam, welcome to 40 Plus Fitness.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, great to be here.
Obviously, the title of your documentary could not have come at a better time. I'm actually now kind of convalescing from an injury to my shoulder. And so healing is kind of top of mind for me right now. And so when I see the word heal, it is something that kind of like settles with me right now, because I think, and probably for most of us, we're at some point in our lives looking to heal from something.
Correct. It's a constant process, always something to heal, whether it's emotional or physical.
And as I got into the documentary, I've done a lot of reading and know that mindset and kind of how we feel about the world and how our emotions are going really are driving a lot of the biological functions. So there is a kind of a mind emotion body connection. I think a lot of us know there's a mind body connection, but there's something, and I think all of us know intuitively, there's something a little bit deeper than that. There are just people who seem to just bounce back faster, feel better faster, and there's something about their behavior, something about their attitude that kind of helps them make that happen. So as you kind of went through kind of putting together the documentary, what was kind of one of the driving factors of why you wanted to get into this?
I think it was just, like you said, you read a lot of books and you find teachings that empower you and you want to empower other people. So as I learned, whether it's reading about quantum physics or epigenetics, how my perception of life and my outlook of life and my attitude really changed my life and affected my life and created my life, I wanted to put all of my teachers into one film so that I could empower other people and shine a light of awareness on we are co-creators with life. We do participate in life with our thoughts and our choices.
And so, Adam, as I kind of put the podcast together and I'm thinking about guests that I want to have on, I imagine there was a lot of things that you left on the cutting room floor, as they say in the production business. I don't leave much on the cutting room floor with the podcast, but I imagine there were a lot of things that you learned as you kind of went through this experience with Kelly. Would you care to share a little bit about kind of how this whole process worked with the two of you?
Sure. And yeah, I learned so much. I'll humbly say that I've studied a lot of meditation and yoga and been to India. And this was such a focused documentary on the healing aspect of it and our thoughts and beliefs and the way we can be empowered to heal. I learned so much from these experts being in the room with them. And like you said, so much is on the cutting room floor. We could show you an hour and a half interview with somebody like Chopra or Dr. Jeffrey Thompson that would just blow your mind, but you obviously can't, put each hour and a half in the film. So the process is really a beautiful process where you learn so much. And like Kelly said, she's, bringing it all into one digestible film so people can learn all this is really difficult. But what she's done is made something really entertaining. She's made something that has story that people can follow. And that process to me is fascinating. It's a puzzle, and I do have an engineering background of all things. And so it's fun for me to be part of that process. And then, sometimes we have to throw away our darlings, as they some beautiful parts. Then there's shows like this where we can talk about those parts and get the broader message across.
Yeah, and you did have some really awesome guests on to talk about the particulars. And you had some profiles, the woman who was, going through her cancer rehabilitation, I guess is the best way I could say it, because it was a little bit more than treatment. And it was really kind of touching as you went through her story. And I really appreciate how you were able to put a personal touch on something that I think many of us are afraid of and many of us are facing or have faced or will face. And so I just kind of really appreciate how you put that together. One of the guests that you had on, and he wasn't on for a whole lot, but you got into Dr. Turner, and he talked about kind of the 9 causes of healing. And I found those very compelling because there were only really a few of them that I think if you said, well, how do you heal? And most people would probably say, well, rest and good nutrition and those types of things. But there's really only a couple of them that were really in that kind of paradigm. They were really all touching on other very personal, emotional type of causes. Could you kind of get into that whole 9 causes of healing? Because I'm saying 9 causes of healing, but I don't think 9 causes of healing was really the right way to word it, but it's the best words that come to my mind.
Yeah. So Dr. Turner is a researcher and she studied spontaneous healings. And what I thought was so fascinating was that only 2 of the 9 things that all of these people she studied, only 2 of the things that all of them did to heal and to have these spontaneous healings were physical. And those 2 things are radically changing your diet and using herbs and supplements. And the other 7 things that 9 people did to have this radical remission or spontaneous healing from cancers that they were told could not heal were mental, spiritual, and emotional. And I thought that was so telling because our medical establishment and our doctors and our healthcare system only treat and cover the physical. And that's a fraction of what it really takes to heal and do the impossible. So I thought that was so fascinating. The other 9 things are taking control over your health as opposed to just listening to a doctor and letting him tell you what is possible with your life. Following your intuition, which really gets us back from looking at the physical body and our symptoms as a conversation, and to really get quiet and quiet the mind and don't listen to other people and to other, testimonies of what hasn't worked, but really turn within and find out what your body is telling you. Releasing suppressed emotions and increasing positive emotions. These are things like forgiveness. And she talks about how unprocessed emotion can stick in your energetic body. And then over time, that energy can become dense and become a physical blockage, even a tumor. So, and then increasing positive emotions, how that literally triggers the brain chemistry and boosts your immune system. So emotions like gratitude, love, compassion, those things actually trigger hormones and chemistry in your brain that are healing and life-giving, as opposed to negative emotions that trigger the opposite, stress chemistry. Embracing social support, deepening your spiritual connection, using things like meditation and prayer. And then the last one is having a strong reason for living. All of these things, mental, emotional, and spiritual, really had real boost on the immune system, which ended up doing the actual healing of the body.
There are 2 takeaways that I have to wrap my mind when I was listening to that. And that's why I found this so compelling and I wanted to talk about it was, I think the first one is, even though there were 2 physical ones, and that was, changing your diet and the herbs and supplements, is that those are not something that's taught in medical school. Most doctors don't spend much time talking about nutrition in school. I mean, they're taught a little bit. That's not a big component. They're more taught how to diagnose and then prescribe, or diagnose and operate. They're not taught nutrition. Whereas, of all the healing things, I don't see surgery in there, because then you have to heal from the surgery as well. So either way, you're still dealing with these 9 things. And I think the other thing is, if you actually start reading some books about longevity and people who live long, happy lives, these other elements are core elements in just living a long, healthy life. So it's not just a healing thing, it's a living thing. And so I think that's what I found so compelling about these things is, if you're already doing these things, then you're already in the best position to heal. But if you're not, now, the game plan to heal is also the game plan to live a longer, happier, healthier life.
Exactly. And we have a sick care system that treats symptoms and manages your disease, where I'm trying to raise awareness and shift it to a preventative model where if you know these things affect your health in a positive way, not only can they help you heal if you're in a state of crisis, but they can also prevent disease in the future and lead to what you're saying, happiness and longevity.
And so as I talked earlier about my shoulder cuff issue, obviously that was an injury. That is something that's going to require medical attention. But when we're actually talking about someone who's dealing with a chronic disease, most of the chronic diseases are going to respond positively to these 9 things. Now, you guys brought up a topic in here. You had a health medium, and I'm going to share something I haven't shared on the podcast before, but my wife actually does ghost hunts. That's her job. She basically, she takes people on ghost hunts to really cool places, and they do their ghost hunts. And I actually am not a believer in that at all. She's tried to convince me. She's shown me video clips. She's showed me audio clips, and I'm like, not seeing it, not there.
Sedona. Have you gone to? Has she taken you to Sedona? It's supposed to be.
She's taken me. We went to Tombstone, and she's done some other ones, and I've been there and not had the experiences that they're having. And maybe it's I don't know. I don't know what Again, I don't profess to know everything, and I say there's things that are probably outside of my realm of experience. But when you had a health medium on your show, I'm like, okay, you guys might just lose me at this point. So I really want you guys to talk about your experience, and both of you talk about your experience with the health medium and how you really feel about all that.
So yeah, we anticipate some people being quote unquote turned off or, have some resistance to this whole aspect of channeling and medium and talking to spirit. The reason I included him, not only because I'm fascinated with everything that's unexplainable, but also because he's literally giving answers to hundreds or millions of people, through his books and through readings where Western medicine hasn't been able to give them answers. So I thought it was worth exploring. I've seen him read people in front of a large audience at a conference, and these people just walk up there and he'll say, "Oh, you have a frozen shoulder." To me, I was kind of convinced by watching him read strangers. And then with myself, as he was reading me in the film, he's like, "I thought you had a heart murmur, but that looks okay." And 3 doctors have told me that I've had heart palpitations and a heart murmur. And that's something no one would know. And I've had tested an EKG and everything's fine. But it's a pretty uncommon thing to be told, and he picked up on it. So I don't know. I was kind of fascinated by it.
It is fascinating. I love that you're open to things that, or at least acknowledge that, there's things that might be beyond our knowing or that you don't buy into. That's great. You don't really have to buy into. I think with him also, you don't have to buy into necessarily how he treats or diagnoses, because he has this greater message underneath that he's getting message from spirit that's telling him things about how we need to heal with food. And he's even talking about stuff beyond the microbiome and beyond probiotics. He's talking about a different kind of biotic that's on living fruit at some point. But he's giving actually some really good information about how to heal, as well as unveiling that, look, we don't have all the answers. Western medicine doesn't have answers. And they kind of label things like fibromyalgia, like lupus. A friend of mine that has lupus, they label it lupus, but all it really is a set of symptoms. There's no thing called lupus. That really opened my eyes, because suddenly someone puts a label on themselves as having this disease, and that disease doesn't have a cure. And now that they can spin in a bad way from that. But if you just say there's some symptoms here, and don't try and classify it, and then we can maybe find a reason for those symptoms, a pathogen, and treat them with food or other ways. It just, like I think what he says, it gives people hope. It turns them around. And so, believe him or not, on the psychological side, we're kind of counteracting the Western side that said you have this and you have that, when there's really no thing. And that really opened my eyes, just in general, as a cool message that he's bringing to the world.
Yeah, and I get that, because, I think believing that you can be healed does hold some power. And we kind of talked about Dr. Turner's perspective in how, just you have to have a belief that something is going to happen. It's kind of like a team, an athletic team goes on the football field thinking they're going to lose the game. They are. They're right, because they went on the field believing they were going to lose. So it is very important to kind of have that belief. It's just, again, as I kind of get into the whole medium thing, I'm like, so.
Yeah. If someone tells you you're smart from a young age, you tend to be smart. If a teacher tells a kid certain things from a young age, they've had proof that they respond to that. So if you suddenly keep telling yourself you have a certain disease when it's really just a set of symptoms, we have to look at the psychology behind that. as Kelly goes into the film about like how doctors in white coats sometimes are giving us prognosis and diagnosis that are hindering the healing process.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to get to that. But another area of medicine that I find really, really fascinating is how we get into the placebo and nocebo effect. Could you take a little bit of time to just explain those two aspects to us? I think we know the placebo effect. The nocebo effect, I think, is a little less discussed, but just how that actually affects how we look at medicine, how we look at healthcare, and what it does for us.
Sure. So the placebo effect is really, I think, should be taught in medical schools and almost exploited, if, for lack of a better word, because it accounts for, they have these medical studies testing these drugs, and the placebo effect, they have to test a control group against a group of people taking the drug. So I don't need to go into it, but they're finding that the people that are taking the sugar pill thinking they're taking the drug are producing the same biochemistry that exactly matches the drug that they think they're getting. So their body has the same reaction as if they're taking the drug. And I think that, without all the side effects. So what I think people should be putting their resources in is studying that and then, figuring out treatment plans that incorporate the placebo and taper down the use of medications with serious side effects and using the placebo effect to our advantage. So on the opposite is a nocebo effect, and that's kind of a negative belief. So if you think you're taking the real drug, that's a positive belief. You think that there's going to be a positive result from taking this drug. Nocebo effect, if a doctor tells you that, oh, you have this type of cancer and most likely you'll be dead in 3 to 6 months, people believe in that negative result, and it actually manifests that exact event in their life. And a great majority of them are going to pass away in 3 to 6 months. So words are very powerful. So a negative diagnosis and someone telling you those words, if you hold on to that negative belief, it can cause all sorts of negative side effects in your body and even lead to death. And that's what Bruce Lipton talks about in the film. And it's just fascinating that it just scientifically proves to me the power of the mind.
And I think that's kind of the core thing is we're seeing all these ads about these medicines that are going to help us get healthy. And so, of course, call your doctor and ask them if this drug would be good for you. And sometimes the ads are just so flowery and wonderful. And of course, I'm the guy who's trying to read the fine print at the end, but they're running through the screen so fast that it's almost impossible to read unless you back up and record it and play it in slow motion. But I guess I would be the guy who would probably fall more for the nocebo effect to sit there and say, okay, there's 19 different things that are going to kill me if I take this drug or do bad things to me. And I'm probably one of those guys that's going to probably say, okay, that's why I can't take this drug because I'd be that one.
Which is great. Yeah, most people are hearing them say, this causes schizophrenia and lymphoma may occur, but they're playing positive music and showing a dog running through flowers, and they're not listening to the words, So they're very tricky, those pharmaceutical ads.
They are, but I understand. I mean, again, I get it. I mean, they're trying to sell a product, and to them, it's a product. As sad as it sounds, so it kind of is one of those things. And I think then because of the way the whole medical system is set up, that it's going to sit there and say, okay, well, you're going to have an if-then statement, because the easiest way to answer a question is if you have an if, then you have and then. And so we have this prognosis diagnosis problem where if you have this diagnosis, this is the prognosis and this is the answer. And then, of course, it's called a practice because it just is, because that's exactly what they're doing. They're saying, okay, well, we have an if then. If you have high blood pressure, then you take a statin. If you have hypertension, then you take a beta blocker. So they have these if-then statements that they teach the doctors. That's their test. That's the test they take. So can you kind of get into the whole diagnosis, prognosis perspective?
So in the film, we are not an anti-Western medicine, anti-pharmaceutical, anti-doctor film. We want you to seek medical advice. We have amazing technology. We have amazing doctors with good intentions. So we encourage you to go get the diagnosis, find out what's going on. But we go then to say, but don't believe the prognosis. And the prognosis is tying back to the nocebo effect, is a doctor telling you, an individual, by just looking at the physical aspects, what's possible in your life and what most people, how this commonly plays out with people. And we're trying to empower you to go, you're a person. Statistics are impersonal, and there's new choices you can make. There are things you can do to kind of determine your own prognosis. So that's the difference. We encourage you to get the diagnosis from the best specialists and the doctors, and then make your own prognosis. Take control of your health.
Yeah, and there's a type of statistics that Kelly Noonan developed called Newtonian Statistics. So instead of believing normal statistics, even if, Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, even if there's a 1% chance of you, quote unquote, getting better or surviving, in essence, there's still a 50% chance because it's either you're getting better or you're not. So why not choose to believe the possibility rather than kind of buy into the stats? Like Chopra says in the movie, we're not statistics. You can't tell what the weather is based on the average weather. There's no average person. I'm certainly not average. I've told myself that my whole life to try and build myself up.
And the funny thing is, I've had some doctors on here, and we've talked about taking control of your own healthcare. And I think one of the interesting ones was a doctor will determine that, there's a chance that you have prostate cancer. And they'll tell you, okay, well, the best prognosis for defeating the prostate cancer is for us to remove your prostate. Now, the potential problems are that you're basically then not going to be able to prevent wetting yourself, and you may become impotent. And so, as an individual then trying to make that decision, because the prognosis is we need to remove your prostate versus all the other things that you could consider. And what they're saying is, you need to slow this whole process down. Prostate cancer is not something that's going to take you out quickly. So you need to sit down and slow down and determine from a lifestyle management perspective the other opportunities that you have in front of you to really manage this disease, because it's, it is what it is. And I think that's kind of where I get with this, is to say, okay, when you're making these decisions, don't rule out even potentially a health medium. And I say that jokingly right now, but I'm just saying is realize that as you kind of get into these situations, is to realize that there are other opportunities. And I think that's one of the cool things that your documentary kind of brings out is don't just think there's an if-then statement in your life. You're not a computer program. You have an opportunity to make other choices. You have an opportunity to manage this differently.
Exactly. And I wanted to, there's such a strong fear reaction when you get a diagnosis of cancer, whether it's breast cancer, prostate cancer. And like you said, these cancers didn't pop up overnight, yet it's a downward spiral of fear that catches people and suddenly getting the diagnosis on Friday and they're in chemo or surgery on Monday. And I just want to kind of give awareness around how much our beliefs and our lifestyle choices really have a tremendous effect on our health. And we can make new ones and address in order to heal and turn around our bodies rather quickly. So just give a breath of awareness and allow for the fear, allow for the sadness after you get this tremendous diagnosis, but then go, okay, you know what? Do I want to give my power away and follow this downward spiral of fear and allow this doctor to tell me what's possible? Or do I want to research, find people that have healed, find what they've done, and take control of my health and get that stubborn, positive, hopeful attitude, which is healing, rather than fear and stress actually will speed up the disease process.
Absolutely. And that's where I want to go next, because I think dealing with stress, one of the top of mind ways to do that is through meditation. So can we talk a little bit about how we can use meditation as a healing force?
Absolutely. It's one of the main tools we kind of get into in the documentary, because all of the experts basically agree that stress is 95% of the reason that people go to the doctor's office. And meditation is something that everybody can do and learn. And there's, all these wonderful apps that are available now. And it's something that you can do. It's for free. All you need is your body and to go within and quiet your mind. And it has, not only does it shut off the stress response, it triggers these juices of life, is what Dr. Kelly Turner talks about, oxytocin, all of these healing hormones and chemicals into your body so that not only does it shut off that stress response and allows you into that relaxation where your immune system can repair things that need to be repaired, but it actually physically releases healing chemicals into your body. So it's a pretty good tool that anybody can use at any time, and it's free.
And one of the interesting things is they've actually done studies to show that meditation can actually make you younger. So your telomeres can actually repair. So when we talk about the healing, we're literally talking about healing at a DNA level with meditation.
Exactly. It's fascinating. And they talk about the science behind meditation. You just mentioned the telomeres lengthen. Also, your IgA levels go up, immunoglobulin A, which is basically our main defense against bacteria and viruses. So it's more powerful than a flu shot, again, with no negative side effect. And it's all scientifically proven. And it can be read during meditation.
Yeah, I think it's great for because you're 40 plus fitness, right? I think that's great for everyone to know. The only downside is, I went through puberty again because I got so much younger. So it was such a difficult thing.
And I can tell from your picture, yeah, you've got that little stubble that, when you first start growing a beard out when you're a kid.
Oh my gosh, you know too much.
So, the funny thing is, like I said, I'm right now, I'm dealing with a little bit of pain and some limited range of motion with my shoulder, my right shoulder, but I'm very grateful that I have my left arm and left shoulder to do some things for myself right now. And my legs and my family and my dogs and everything around me, I can't be more grateful for all that I have in my life. And gratitude actually does play a big part in healing. Could you kind of get into how gratitude helps us heal?
Sure. So gratitude is one of those powerhouse positive emotions that will actually trigger healing chemistry throughout your body. And we get into this scientifically, how it's this heart-brain coherence. When you feel these positive emotions like gratitude, compassion, and love, it sends a signal to the brain, and the brain releases life-giving, healing chemistry throughout your body. And that's where your immune system has become super strong. So just feeling gratitude for, your left arm and your left shoulder feeling good, and your kids and your dog and your job and your wife, all of those things are going to release healing chemistry into your body. The opposite of that would be anger, rage, fear, jealousy. That releases stress and disease-causing chemistry through your body. That's the basic level. Then we kind of get into, although it's a really complicated lesson and it could be a documentary all by itself, but we use gratitude. We get into gratitude as a tool to shift your mind out of that downward spiral of fear that we were talking about before. Because if you're in fear, which we often are, if we get a terminal diagnosis or something really scary, that's not going to help your body heal, but it's quite gripping. So how do we shift out of that fear? And one of the easiest way to do it, or what Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches and Greg Braden teach, is that if you start to use your mind, if you quiet your mind in meditation and then you feel the feelings of the desired result. So in this case, it would be healing X disease, or having your shoulder be strong and able to throw a fastball again and pain-free. If you visualize your shoulder in that way and you feel the feelings of gratitude for that powerful, healthy, strong right shoulder again, and you sit there and you visualize and you feel those feelings of gratitude, it actually signals the brain chemistry and the neurons and the neural pathways to start to reflect that healing in your body, because the signature of gratitude means it's already happened. So it's metaphysical, it's quantum physical, and it's, again, a very complex thing, but it's just a powerful tool when combined with visualization. And we call it feeling grateful, as if what you want to happen has already happened, actually starts to create those neural pathways and those nerve communications that end up starting to trigger that healing in your body. And that is just fascinating to me.
Well, even at my youngest, my fastball would have been considered a changeup, but I'll appreciate that. But I'm very grateful for my shoulder anyway. And yes, I am very positive that I will heal and be as strong as I was before, because I'm willing to work for it and I deserve it and I'm taking care of myself. So, I think all the things that you have in this documentary are great. I wish I could be the fly on the wall that you were, Adam, and actually see all of what transpired as a function of filming this wonderful documentary. because I'm sure there's so much that was left out that I would just love to sit down and just go through. And maybe one day you'll be willing to share that with us. But the documentary is still brilliant. And I think it's worth everyone taking an opportunity to check out. So if we wanted to check out the documentary, learn more about you guys, where would you like for me to send?
Please go to healdocumentary.com. It not only tells you about the film and the experts, but you can sign up for, call it the newsletter or the advanced notification of when you can see the film, when it's available digitally, when it's going to be in your theater, because we'll come out more than likely in the fall. So if you go to healdocumentary.com, you can sign up. We'll let you know. That way you can tell your friends. We're on Facebook also, Heal Documentary. We're on Instagram, Heal Documentary. And we're always releasing little 1-minute videos each month, sneak peeks. So if you're on Facebook, you'll get to see those and through the newsletter see those as well.
And I'm just so glad you gave me an opportunity for the pre-screening, because this was really a brilliant work. And I appreciate both of you coming here to share that with us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So if you want to get those links, you can go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/271. I'll make sure to have the links there so you can find all that good stuff. So again, Adam, Kelly, thank you so much for being a part of 40 Plus Fitness.
Thank you.
Take care.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, would you please take some time to share it with friends and family? Thank you. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we meet Dr. John Day and discuss his book, The Longevity Plan, 7 life-transforming lessons from ancient China. Until then, have a happy and healthy week.